Welcome, everyone, and buckle up because today is honestly a landmark day for this show. We are kicking off Unfiltered as a new short Q&A series with yours truly, Lady G, as your host. This has been an idea that Steve from Beyond the Trades has had for a while and has now officially started this Q&A interview to get to know the everyday regular trader just like you and I. So, with that said, I am practically bursting with anticipation as I bring to you an interview with our first incredible guest. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but some legends speak for themselves. While his face remains a mystery, behind the gorilla mask, his trading prowess is an open book. Let's delve into the mind of a master, and please help me give a warm welcome to our first guest, the one and only legendary trader and educator, JJ VWAP Trader. How are you doing, JJ?
Great, Lady G. How are you? Thank you. That was quite a buildup. Wow.
It
Thank you
was.
so
I mean,
much.
that kind of got me amped up. Oh man, no, but seriously, JJ, before we get started, I have to ask you because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what is up with the gorilla picture?
The gorilla picture is a picture my girlfriend found in an art gallery that we decided to use as I don't show my face because most of my clients, a lot of my clients are still alive, and I talk about them quite a bit. And so I don't reveal their names and things like that because they're pretty high net worth individuals, and their secrets are supposed to die with me, but I use their experiences to teach retail traders, how the market works.
Nice, nice. Very interesting. Okay, I see that mystery behind you. So while your identity remains a mystery, your impact on the market and to other traders is really undeniable. I mean, you're highly popular in the trading community, and we'll get to discuss some of the specifics in regards to your professional background. But first, JJ, can you give me a little brief history on your personal background, where you were born, your family, all that good stuff?
Stuff. Well, I was born in Colombo, Sri Lanka, way back, in the late 60s. So I'm an old guy. But my parents moved to Canada, right to the middle of Canada, when I was about 2 years old. And I grew up in a place called Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatchewan, one of the coldest places on earth, but has some of the nicest people on earth, which kind of makes up for it. And so I grew up with rednecks. I was the only brown kid in my entire school, and I was treated so well. And the people I grew up with, I literally could trust with my life, and just the greatest people in the world. They, come from farming backgrounds and things like that, but boy, oh boy, just some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life.
Nice, nice. That's good. Awesome. So what drew you to the world of financing and trading?
Oh gosh. Well, it's a bit of a long story. I was working, I had done 4 years of microbiology, did not have the brains to get into med school. And three of us moved to Vancouver, BC from Saskatchewan after university. Um, I was working in a nightclub at night as a bouncer and, doing all sorts of jobs in the daytime. Like I ran a manufacturing company. I worked as an organic chemist assistant. I worked in a motorcycle shop on weekends just to get free parts for my motorcycle. So I was pretty busy. One day it was a slow night at the nightclub. I was reading a book, and because our nightclub was located next door to a strip club, the traders that, they'd follow these girls, they'd come to dance at our nightclub. So the traders from the Vancouver Stock Exchange came in and they saw me reading a book and they were just shocked that a bouncer could read, number one. Uh, so one of the guys actually brought me a book called Liar's Poker by Michael Lewis. I read it and I was hooked. It was the first book he ever wrote. Of course, he wrote The Blind Side and The Big Short, more popular stuff, but it was about his days working at Solomon Brothers in the 1980s in the bond department. And I was literally hooked. That was 1991. And it took me a couple of years to get into the industry. I I took the advice of Linda Ratchke, who said get a job close to the exchange so you could network. So I did that. I was working for the federal government, and
Nice.
yeah, one day a gentleman saw me reading the Wall Street Journal on my lunch break, and he was this little East Indian promoter. He saw me. He used to wear these black three-piece suits with cowboy boots. He was about 5'4". He just used to drive a black Rolls Royce, and he had this. His assistant was this 6 foot tall blonde lady from the Netherlands. So it was quite a, it was quite these two characters walking down the street, getting out of this black Rolls. And he said, "What do you want to be?" I go, "I want to be a trader." He goes, "Well, come see me after the close, after you're done work at the government, because we used to work in the same building." He had a phone room up on the top of the building. So I got my first job as what we call a phone chimp, which is a guy
Um,
who calls leads, asks them for their address, so we send them an information package, and then a more senior salesman will call them the next day and try and get them to buy the stock or when they get the package. That was back in the days before email. So
yeah.
yeah, so that's how I started off in the industry. Then he got me a job at the lead generation company, and that's where I learned about finance the real way, none of the stuff in books, the real world stuff. We did advertising for public companies, so I quickly had 200 to 300 clients, and I was quickly the number one salesman because I figured out most of the stuff is happening in the U.S. in the East Coast, so nobody came in till 9 o'clock, which is noon in New York. I started coming in at 6 in the morning. The phone was ringing off the hook. All I had to do was answer the phone, and I wrote more business than anybody else. And those people were people who ran small hedge funds, and they needed to get retail interest to buy the stock that they had invested in.
Right. Right.
So, very quickly I learned the first lesson I learned is you don't buy stock. You never buy stock because you get it for free.
Yeah.
And, I've never bought stock in my life once. I've always worked for companies and they've given me stock to work for them. So that's one lesson I learned. That's when I see people buying and investing in penny stocks. I'm like, dear God, you know, uh, it's so, I did that. And then I worked my way there for a few years. And then what happened was one of my friends was dating the head trader of a brokerage firm on the US desk. And, we'd go out at night, and he was an older guy, and I would just grill him all the time. And his name was uh, Dominic, and he was, this older Italian guy. He'd be always wearing he was great because he would work in a clothing store one day a year just so he'd get discounts on Armani suits. And, he was the greatest guy, and he taught me a bit about the business. And one day he called me and said, "Hey, JJ, we've got an opening on the desk. You want a job?" And so I went for the interview. The owners of the firm were like, "Who the hell is this kid?" Because it was kind of a closed community, and if your dad was in the business, you could get a job. So I was a complete outsider. But then I said, "Listen, I got 200 clients who are ready to sell stock through your firm, and you can charge them 5%." They were like, "You're
Nice.
hired," right? And I didn't know, I didn't know common stock from livestock at the time, other than what I'd read in books. So, there I was on the trade desk, and within the first 3 months, I was in the top 10 producers of the firm. Um, you know,
Wow. Good for you.
yeah. So, it was a great time, and my clients used to own brokerage firms. They'd been around the block. So they taught me the business. I'm very grateful to some of my clients who taught me the business and gave me business so I could make money. And
Right.
yeah, it was a great time.
Nice, nice. Very cool. So from bouncer to working for the government to market making.
Yep.
Yeah, I see you. That's awesome. So, I've heard many, many stories about you, and of course, all good things. Um, but everything that you're saying right now sounds great, but do you have any like juicy story from back in the days from your trading days?
Oh dear God. Well, one of my best clients, one of my first big clients, we'll call him the Penguin. And people in our trading room know the Penguin stories because this guy was worth about $400 million, and he was the cheapest man you'd ever meet. We'd go traveling and we'd have to stay at Motel 6 kind of thing. And he'd want a discount. So he was quite a character. I was with him, and we worked. The very first deal I worked on with him was Briax Minerals. He was an investor, and he had over 5 million shares at 30 cents. The stock went to 250 bucks on the New York Stock Exchange, and that's how he made his first 400 million. So I was a rookie watching this and learning. So that was a huge thing. They later made a movie about it with Matthew McConaughey called Gold.
Oh
So
yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want to know the real inside story, ask me because I was there and I saw it happen. Um, and
Okay.
he what he would do is he would buy stock at a discount all the time, right? Because savvy investors never pay the market price for a stock. So one day he said, "Listen, we're going to send you to this company. I want you to shake them down. The stock's trading at $1. They're offering me 1 million shares at 50 cents." So I went in, I was like, "Okay, well, why do you want me to go?" So he was waiting in the car. He said, "Okay, go, go, go." And he and another one of his brokers, they were just laughing and laughing. I couldn't figure it out why. So I walk into this company. It's in Gastown in Vancouver. It's this big, huge old red brick building. And I get to the door, and the guy who runs the company is a guy from Regina. And I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "I'm the president of this company." I go, "Get out of here." And
Yeah,
then,
small world.
yeah, and then his CFO comes walking up, his chief financial officer, and the guy who was his CFO used to come to the nightclub. He was a male stripper. So I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" I'm like,
Oh
"What are you
my.
doing here?" He goes, "What are you doing here?" I go, "I'm a trader now." He goes, "I'm a CFO now." They start showing me around, and they've got this whole massive building. And what are these idiots up to? And the stock was trading it was a liquid stock. I mean, I was trading a lot of volume at $1. It turns out it was one of the first internet porn companies that was publicly traded. And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so I got back to the car, and my investor, the Penguin, and his other broker, they were laughing and laughing and laughing. And they were just because I was just like, "What did you guys send me into?" Because I was just expecting, the police to raid the place at any time. But anyway, the Penguin did end up, he took down 1 million shares at 50 cents. The stock went to $21, and he just added to his money pot. So, and before the
Yeah.
police shut it all down. But yeah, that was, so stories like that. I've traded for, oh dear God, Vancouver was the epicenter of the penny stock world in the 90s. And so I've traded for the gentlemen who ride motorcycles, for the gentlemen from New York, who are Italian, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. The gentleman from Russia. They've all been, through Vancouver, and it was kind of a scary scene. Sometimes you'd go to business meetings and they'd be like mercenaries there, that they've got a mine in Africa, but they have to hire security, so they hire these, ex-SAS guys to, at the
Yeah.
meeting. So there's some dodgy, sketchy characters. Finance is not all as clean and buttoned down as people think it is.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. I mean, people are definitely right. You do have very interesting sh stories to share.
yeah. Unfortunately, too many of them.
Too many of them.
I'm putting them down in a book. One of these days, I'll finish writing it. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
That's really good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you got some juicy things to talk about.
And I try
No,
to use them for education, really. So
good.
yeah.
Good, good. Well, speaking of education, I mean, what was your transition like from market making to being an educator for traders?
That was an interesting one. In 2012, one of my partners and really close friend, um, when we started making big money, things started getting out of hand, and he kind of lost his way a little bit, and we separated ways. And he went on to get into a lot of trouble, and still continues to do so. He just has a lot of, he's got the larceny in him. And so when we separated ways, things were a little tough. Um, and I got really sick. The stress was really, really bad. Um, so I had a heart attack in 2012. I had a heart attack and a quintuple
Oh, wow.
bypass. So doing deals were, deals were becoming really hard. The SEC was cracking down on a lot of penny stock stuff, so which they were kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater. So a lot of good deals weren't, being done, and it was getting hard. So I started thinking, oh, I need to do something a little less stressful, and I thought, oh, retail trading will be easy. Big mistake. And that's how I started in 2012. I started, learning how to retail trade and teaching people about the business at the same time. And that's how I sort of got into it, mistakenly thinking that retail trading was going to be very easy because I came from the institutional side and I knew the business like the back of my hand. But retail trading is completely different than anything in institutional trading because you have limited capital, you can't cheat. Um, and you're basically out there waging war. Everyone else has machine guns and
Oh,
ballistic
wow.
missiles. You're out there with a plastic spoon. You don't even have a plastic knife as a retail trader. So it
Yeah.
took, the whole discipline thing and setups and journaling and all of that stuff. I didn't do any of that. Institutional traders after the close, they go drinking. Retail traders do research,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it was a completely different mindset, which I had to change and train myself to be disciplined.
Of course. I
Yeah,
mean, experiencing a heart attack, I mean, that's something that definitely makes you think twice,
yeah.
about your life and taking things differently. So yeah, I get it. So now that you're in the educating side of things, I know that you teach and trade live daily in microe futures trading room. Tell me a little bit about that.
We started the room about 5 years ago, Steve and I, and it's been a heck of a journey. It's been great, and Steve and Ray have been great partners and very supportive. I couldn't ask for better. I mean, Long Island, right? You can't go bad with Long Island people. And I just, my best one of my best friends was a New Yorker, Long Island, and Steve is from the next town over from him.
Yeah,
And so we just hit it off, and it's been great. We have the futures room where I teach every day, and then we also have, a one-on-one coaching program for people who want more intensive study. And what we've done is we've really sort of lowered the cost of education, where a lot of teachers and you take a course, you pay for each course. Our philosophy is different. You pay for the course once, and then you get unlimited one-on-one teaching. You get to take all our other courses. You never pay for another thing. And this way, because we know people need time, you're not going to learn how to trade in 8 weeks.
yeah,
And this way, we give them the opportunity. So we bring them into the room, and some people that's good enough, but some people want, whether they're, a serious size trader. We've got traders in our room who make $10,000 to $30,000 a day. Then we've got people who are just learning how to make $50, $100 a day. And
yeah,
so what I do is I, personalize programs for those people and help them succeed, because we know people need time. You're not going to learn how to trade in 8 weeks.
that's
So we keep bringing people back in, keep educating them, and then they also get to talk to me, if they need to call me. They got my phone number, so we WhatsApp and stuff like that. And I find that
that's cool.
yeah, it's like having a coach for life. So as long as I'm alive, and you've been in the course, I'll be there to help guide you, whether it's now or 5 years down the road. And that's the one thing, and you never have to pay again. And I like that because it allows people access to education that's actually honest, and it actually teaches them really about the markets instead of a bunch of what we used to call in the prairies highfalutin crazy theories. We put it into practice
Yeah.
and we show them how it's done. It's been a great experience.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm glad you're talking about it because I know that there's so many traders, new traders out there that just want to know. They want that one-on-one, hands-on with someone. So yeah, that's awesome, JJ. And not only that, but you also co-host with Ray one of the most highly viewed, rated trading podcasts called Confessions of a Market Maker. What made you and Ray decide to create that podcast? I mean, I know it has well over what, like 120 episodes
It
with
does.
some very well-known guests. Yeah.
It
Tell me a
does.
little bit
I
about
actually, Steve and Ray have done all of the heavy lifting on that podcast. Steve goes out and gets the most incredible guests, and Ray does a great job hosting the show.
it.
I'm
Nice.
kind of like the old guy who tags along, and they really both, it's because of them that the show is the way it is. I have the industry experience and I love talking to. It's been wonderful because all of the books that I read, when I was younger, I get to meet the people who wrote those books and who were in them. And I think that's great. People like
Yeah,
Linda Ratchke and
absolutely.
um, it's just absolutely amazing. Jim Dalton, Jim Dalton is, sort of like the godfather of market profile. And if not for him, my trading life would have been a lot more difficult. So getting to, have hosts like that, Walter Deemer is a legend,
Yeah.
as an analyst. And he, the guy was in the room with Charlie Bluhdorn when Bluhdorn ran Paramount. And it just legends. So it's
Yeah.
being able to talk to people who are a part of financial history, which I love, and I'm a big financial history geek. I just love it. So yeah, it's been, I'm very very grateful to Ray and Steve for doing the work on that podcast.
Yeah, you guys are honestly doing a great job at Confessions of a Market Maker. I mean, the people sure do love you both, and I mean, they really value everything that you have to say and share with them. Um, so JJ, what would you say are the key principles you empathize when teaching, new inspiring traders about market profiling?
Uh, Well, market profile is just a way to keep track of the distribution of inventory. We all forget that it's called a market. There's the stock market, bond market, futures market. It's a market. So the purpose of a market is to bring inventory, mark it up and sell it at a profit. And then when it goes on sale because you ran out of buyers, it gets marked down, and that's why markets sell off.
Yeah.
So teaching people about the business and, especially new traders really have no idea that there are business transactions that are creating the chart you see. It's just a sales chart. So
Yeah.
teaching people to see that and helping them develop a solid business plan because if you're a retail trader, you're really running a small business. And if you think about it that way, then you kind of weed out all the need for not to, you don't need as much trading psychology when you actually know what you're doing and you're not taking bad trades because oh, this business, scenario is going on. Oh, that's not for me to be in. I'll wait till they're done and then I'll transact. So you don't
Right.
lose as much money as you usually do, which the trick to retail trading is to outlast everybody, not lose any money while you're learning. And eventually you start to learn. You lose a little bit. We have the micro, which keeps losses down. I have um, a savage risk management because I was taught the business by 60 and 70-year-old men who were close to, like, they were billionaires, but they take the bus to work. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm really cheap with,
Talk about humble.
yeah, our motto, like pirates, is, take what you can and give nothing back. And that's the way we've been taught, like I've literally been to dinner meetings with billionaires who will skip out before the check comes so they don't have to pay the bill.
Oh no.
So yeah, we
Horrible.
apply. That's a big game in Vancouver, actually, to nail the person with the bill. That's something that's sport. Um, so yeah, that's how I was taught the business. You make $600 million and you drive a Toyota to work, and a beat up one at that. So it's
Yeah, I'm taking notes here not to go to dinner with you. Oh man, no, but JJ, okay, so I mean, with that said, what would you say is one of the biggest misconception that retail traders have about the market?
That it's easy money,
Yeah.
that it's it's side income that just sort of generates itself. And the biggest misconception is I'm going to quit my job and be a trader. And that is that when you are desperate, you make the worst trading decisions or
Oh yeah.
business decisions. And so I always advocate having a few income streams which keep you from forcing bad trades, making bad decisions because you're under the gun. I've seen people, I need to make this much money a day, and if I don't, all these bad things are going to happen, and they just end up losing all their money because they're just under the gun. They don't take the time to learn how everything works. They're just out there trading, and then they get into all these things where they need to go sit on Dr. Phil's couch and need a psychologist. Where, if you actually worked in the business, none of that exists. You don't touch anything for 6 months before you get to trade. So there is the learning part of this. Um, for people who want to quit their job and do this, this is the most difficult job you will ever have because
Yeah.
it's constantly changing, and what we have to do is train ourselves how to act and react. And
Yeah.
also we have to train ourselves sometimes not to do anything at all. And that's hard for people. It's hard sitting in front of a screen, um, and trying to keep an open mind because you're sitting. I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I haven't made a trade. I haven't made any money, but yet I don't know what's going on. So it's very hard for people to do that. Retail trading is the hardest job in finance because you can't cheat. You have small amounts of capital, and you don't have the tools and the insight and the skill, to do it. So we teach people how to develop their skills, and how to kind of take it easy on yourself a little bit. It's going to take some time to learn how to do this, just like any skill.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. I mean, just like anything, like you said, practice makes perfect. And that leads me to my next question. What are some of the most common mistakes that you see the new traders make, and how can they be avoided?
Newer traders, the most common mistake is starting trading thinking you're gonna make money.
Yeah.
It'd be like me going, say, a lot of people will go, hey, I'm gonna do some trading, make some money. Do you ever go up to a heart surgeon and go, hey, I need to make an extra 50 grand. Can I do the next mitral valve bypass, or replacement, or can I do a bypass surgery? It's unheard of because it's a skill that you need to develop. They're completely unaware that it's a skill that you need to develop, and that takes time. So people are
Yeah.
really hard on themselves because it takes time and you want to be compensated for your time. But in trading, you're not going to be compensated for your time, not for quite a while.
Right.
And you have to have other sources of income. That's number one. The other misconception is, or problem is, that they trade way too big a size for their level of skill. There is a level of skill in order to hold trades longer, to trade larger size, managing positions. And you need to develop that skill level. I've never met anybody who just pops out of the womb and can retail trade. I've never met anyone who just, who's never sat in front of a screen, sit them down in front of a computer and they start trading and making money.
Oh boy.
In 31 years,
Yep.
I have never seen that.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, so I hope you guys are taking notes for all the new traders out there. I mean, and the experienced ones too. I really hope that you guys are taking notes because this is all good stuff. So, JJ, for those new traders that are listening and that are very eager to learn, is there anything that you'd like to share with them, um, as to what they should expect or do?
Um, Expect that it's going to take you some time. Be gentle on yourself. And here's one thing, and it's proven. As soon as you get into a trade, your IQ drops by about 60 points. So I would suggest watching markets, learning why they do what they do. None of this is random, right? When you put billions of dollars, on a table, trust me, nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason. There's no such thing as coincidence. Markets are, there is a wholesale element. All of these things you need to learn. Spend some time watching, come into a room like ours, you know, not to sound like an ad, but I mean, we do have a 7-day free trial. It doesn't cost you anything. Drop by, spend 7 days with us, learn how markets work and where you fit in. And that's the biggest thing. We're learning where you fit into all of this and how you can make money without losing a lot of money. The biggest thing is risk management and capital preservation. Once you get capital preservation and risk management down, it's just a matter of time before things will start to work out for you. That's the most important thing in trading is capital preservation, because what you're doing is you're starting out with no knowledge and money. But what happens is by the time you get knowledge, you've lost all your money. So we try and flip that script and teach people so they don't lose money and or lose very, very little. Small losses, learning how to take losses. And here's the other thing about retail trading. You need to be able to admit you're wrong quickly, right?
Yeah.
Ego has no place in retail trading. Ego will get you a trip on a bus and maybe a cardboard box for a house.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, ego is the worst thing. Get your ego out of there. Admit you're wrong quickly. It's okay to be wrong. We're going to be wrong all the time,
we're
right?
human.
I was wrong a couple of times today, at least, right? But wrong and stubborn
Yeah.
leads to the poorhouse.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. That's real good. This is where you all heard it first. I mean, right here, unfiltered. This has been really good, JJ. Is there anything else that you would like to say to everybody that's listening before we wrap it up?
I just, I'm really happy to talk to people. Reach out and say hi to me on Twitter or, come into the room and say hi. We're really, really committed uh, to seeing people do well. I hate watching retail people lose money because they work hard for it. When an institution gets taken down for 20, $30 million, no big deal. They're big boys and girls. They know the game. That's they're into it. But when I see someone who works hard for their money just lose it so quickly in the market because they don't know what they're doing or they've been given bad information, that just drives me crazy. So that's what we're trying to, like one trader at a time, keep them out of trouble and get them on the right side of the trade.
Yeah, yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with our audience, JJ. Keep up the phenomenal work, and perhaps one day the world will know the face behind the legendary gorilla picture.
Well, I think most of my clients are starting to get old now, so I might
Yeah,
be able to do that soon. I mean, I told them their secrets die with me, so that's why I don't show my face and I don't use anybody's real name.
that's funny. Well, JJ, I would love to have you back sometime. I mean, gorilla and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
But hey, who knows? Maybe next time we can do like an episode of like the unmasking.
That would be great.
Oh man, I'm sure a lot of guests, a lot of listeners would like to see that. But yeah, JJ, again, thank you. This has been great. I hope that you all enjoyed this interview as much as I did. JJ has offered some incredible insight today. If you're looking to learn more about his strategies in the business of trading, claim your microe futures 7-day free trial today. Be sure to check out the link in the description below. And thank you again, JJ. And to everyone listening, till next time.